Hi there, and welcome back to another fucking episode of the Everyday History Podcast. I'm Dustin Lloyd, and with me, as always, is T Money.
Also known as Stash Kirby for today's episode.
Or as I wrote here in my notes, Tristan Teabag Kirby.
Pretty much anything with T, it works.
Or Boo Boo to the layperson.
Right. If you're a historic.
Yeah. Today's episode is about something that turned out to be way more interesting than I expected. We discussed it briefly a week ago, and I doubt you expected it this quickly, but today's episode is the history of racing. Racing?
No, the hints.
Our friend Paul gave you some hints.
Okay, I'm a dick.
Yep. That was one of them. That was a big one. I assume that has something to do with the show Street Outlaws.
I don't know. We won't eat up the first part with me trying to figure it out because I'm slow.
That could be the whole show. And actually, before we get started, as you already know, this is going to be a two-parter because this is a lot longer than I expected.
What?
Yeah, this is a very interesting long subject, and we're gonna go all the way back to ancient times, and then we're gonna follow through all the way to modern, multi-million-dollar racing events as it is today.
Oh yeah, we talked about the chariots and shit like that. That's right. It's all coming back to me. Sorry, my brain left with the goatee.
Yeah, there you. Oh yeah, because you're rocking the Lemmy now.
Yeah.
This subject was actually suggested by our good friend Paul, so giving him a shout out here. To say he's a big fan of the show Street Outlaws is like saying the surface of the sun is warm. The man loves that show, and I've watched it with you guys, and I'm not a fan per se, but it is entertaining.
Loves it. Hates cars in every other regards. Hates riding in them. Doesn't much care for driving them. But
the duality of man.
Right. You put on Street Outlaws and big fast cars, and the man is like a fucking book. It is crazy. I witnessed it.
So the concept of racing is a primal human impulse.
Me go faster than you.
It's been present in every era of civilization, from prehistoric rituals to today's global spectacle. Wow. And today we're going to race through, I should say, 5 major eras of humanity: prehistoric, ancient, medieval, industrial, and modern times, to learn all we can about racing and its evolution. Are those the actual names for those eras? I don't know. I might not be using them correctly, but you get it. You probably get it.
Yeah, I think it's I get it, and that's really all that matters. Because you're talking to me.
You probably get it.
Yeah, I get it. Probably.
So, excuse me. Racing predates the invention of the wheel.
So, like, obviously foot races, right, is where it had to start from.
Yeah, and I have no segue for that, but it's true.
Well, that's
Historians and Go ahead.
Line.
So historians and archaeologists believe that the wheel was invented sometime around the 4th millennium BCE, with evidence being found in modern-day Iraq. Iraq? A rock lobster. Family Guy reference for you guys. Humans, however, were racing on foot probably from the moment we realized we could move faster that way.
Yeah, me faster than you.
Me faster than you. Ugh. It's believed that we probably engaged in foot racing, not foot racing, but running fast to hunt, because fun hadn't been invented yet, so we didn't do it for fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we didn't think of things like, I've got so much time, I think I'll just run.
Yeah, and interesting thing is that fun wasn't even invented until 1318 by Jonathan Recreation. And of course, that's nonsense.
That's canon.
Anthropologists speculate that we engaged in physical contests such as running as part of rituals, social fun. Unfortunately, there's no direct contextual evidence of this, of course, but consistent patterns across cultures, like in oral tradition and symbolic rock art, indicates that it was done, most likely. Probably.
Yeah, I could see that.
Me faster than you. So I could see it being, for fun.
Hashtag me faster than you.
There's our hashtag for the day that no one's going to use. As far as solid evidence, though, what we do have is proof that chariots began appearing in Egypt around 1600 BC,
Oh, wow.
becoming not becoming not only the preferred method of transport for the royal and elite classes, but they were also advanced tools of war.
Yes.
And remains of chariots were found in Egyptian tombs, for example, in King Tutankhamun's tomb. I get why people call him King Tut, because
Yeah.
Tutankhamun is a very not fun name to try to read.
Yeah, I've tried to read it many times, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't know how to say it. Oh.
King Tut.
Yeah, King
Much
Tut.
better. But in his tomb, 6 chariots were found. And there was no sources that I could find that states that, chariots were ever used for racing competitions, which is a travesty, really.
Yeah, kind of a
Like
missed opportunity, fellas.
yeah, you invent this new way to go faster and you don't race with it.
Right. They're like, what? Why would we need to prove that we're better than each other? We both are superior to our enemies, so that's what matters. It's like, yeah. But, guys, come on.
Hear me out, hear me out.
You throw some new leaf springs on this son bitch? I'm just saying, you can make turns on a fucking dime. What's
Yeah,
a dime?
there's probably like one redneck Egyptian dude. Like, man, you could go a little faster in this thing, like opening up a Coors Light of the time.
I'm just saying, man, you take all some of this decoration that does nothing for your aerodynamics, is what I'm thinking of calling it. They're like, yeah,
That's what
that'll
I'm thinking
never
of calling
catch. You're a fucking
it.
idiot.
It's a miracle we still use this ancient wheel technology. What are you talking about?
This shit'll be phased out in 10 years. I'm calling it.
I'm calling it now. Do you know who referenced the first chariot race in written record?
Where?
Yeah, it's our boy
Ooh,
Homer.
ooh, ooh.
In the Iliad, he describes a funeral where a chariot race was held. I don't know why there's a chariot race at a funeral, but I'm just
Well, this
telling you
is
what I read.
Homer. Homer.
It is Homer.
Homer Simpson. Question mark?
What do
Simpsons
you say we go
predicted
on a little?
9/11?
What do you say we go on a little sidebar here?
Okay, I'm always down.
We've
You
met,
know me.
we've mentioned Homer quite a few times in other episodes without giving him the dignity of a personal lore time.
Personal lore. Dun, 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 dun.
It's personal lore time.
Yes,
can't
let's
do it,
learn
it's
all about our let's learn all about our good friend Homer, man who had his finger on the pulse of everything going on at the time. So I'm surprised we haven't done this before, honestly, because we've referenced him a lot.
That would be a deep dive. But he is proving
Yeah,
to be more and more every day. I mean,
yeah.
he's found his
So
way into many subjects we've talked about. You're right.
if anyone has earned their personal lore time, it is Homer.
Not Simpson. Although he's alright.
Yeah, he's all right. So Homer was born in the town of Springfield. It's not clear what Greek city-state that was, and he was 10 years old in the 60s and 50s and possibly the 70s. His
Yeah,
son of he he was the son of Abe Grandpa. Oh fuck, that's the wrong Homer.
God damn it.
The problem is there's no known documentation of when Homer actually lived. So, according to ancient Greek traditions, he was a blind poet who lived around the 9th century BCE, and he
What?
composed the Iliad and the Odyssey. There are
Wow.
no contemporary records of his life, like nothing from his time to say anything about him.
So
There's
nothing
even
to solidify he was blind. It's not true.
well, even worse, there's a debate amongst scholars they call it the Homeric question, and it concerns if one person wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey or if it was the work of multiple people. Many scholars will argue that both poems were composed orally over tradition and then over generations and then written down later, possibly by a scribe who used the pen name Homer or had the name given to them. So there's no real evidence that Homer was even a real person.
Oh, whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I did not expect that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
And
like to think that
mysterious.
I like to think that there was multiple Homers running around.
Right. I'm
Like
from the Homer clan.
like a mass Krusty the Clown brand kind of thing, all dressing the same with wigs, traveling over the ancient world. It's probably not likely, but I can dream.
They're like Negan. They're like Negan's father. We are Homer.
Yeah, we
I'm
are Homer. We are Homer. Go!
Why are you little?
So yeah, I found that very interesting that we don't even know for sure if Homer was even a person or if it was multiple people.
After your little bit of research on him, what do you think? You think Homer, I mean, from what you've read, do you think more Homer could be a group of people or like
I think it was probably somebody who had heard these stories, over time growing up maybe and put them down to written record.
Okay.
And probably either, I don't know where the name Homer came from though. Like, I don't know if that was like a common name or if they just decided when we published these that, hey, this would be a great name for this person.
Could I just say, I hear the name Homer, and keep in mind, folks, I'm uncultured as fuck, so do with that what you will.
Aren't we both?
Yeah, right. Corn-fed, country boy. No, not really. I'm not like that. I'm just a piece of shit. But Homer, I hear Homer, I'm like, it doesn't sound Greek to me, you know? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's not Greek enough.
Yeah, like I hear God, I see. I'm on the stand now. I can't think of a fucking Greek name.
See, they could have named him something more Greek like John Stamos.
Right.
I'd
You
buy
hear the
that a
name
little
John? That's Greek as fuck. John, Greek as fuck.
And
Homer.
Stamos? I mean. So, anyway, unfortunately, that's all all I could really find on Homer and his life. So, all that personal lore build up for nothing.
Yeah, just to say, we don't really know.
So, it wouldn't be until the OG Olympic Games in ancient Greece around 776 BC that sports themselves became a big cultural deal. The games themselves were based on foot racing as the foundation. Like, that's where the marathon came from and stuff like that.
Yeah, I vaguely remember learning a little bit of that in school.
Yeah, same here. But these games were highly ritualized as part of religious festivals in the honor of their almighty horned dog Zeus.
He would fuck anything.
Anything and everything. The Olympic Games also featured chariot racing, and this is the first reference I could find of chariots being raced.
Yeah, you take some weight off the back of this bitch, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man. You ain't gonna fucking hate me.
Now we move forward to a ancient Greek redneck.
Come on, every culture has the redneck.
So, there were different types of horse races that were held at the Olympics, including the Tethrypion, which was a 4-horse chariot, and the Sonorous, which was a 2-horse chariot. And the game differed from the other games being held at the Olympics because, unlike most, chariot racing actually allowed team owners to hire skilled drivers to compete for them. So it wasn't necessarily athletes entering themselves into this contest. An owner of a team would buy one.
Yeah, it's kind of what Street Outlaws does. Some of those guys just have people, like, they drive other people's cars, and they'll be like, blow that motherfucker up if you got to. I want the win. So, I think that kind of backs my point that the American redneck, is not exclusive to America. It never has been. It's always just been
spans through time.
Yes, it's timeless. The American, quote-unquote, folks, you can't see it, but I'm doing the air quotes right now. Quote-unquote, redneck. Sorry, I lost my train of thought mid-sentence. Anyway.
Just imagine a giant mustache doing air quotes, and that's Boo Boo.
Yes! I'm more mustache than man at this point, god damn it.
So the winners of these races would receive olive wreaths, which, is... we see that a lot in the old depictions. They'd gain immense fame if they were, winning. And all the pussy they could handle.
Nice!
I don't know if that last part's true, but I like to think it was.
And they're like, yeah, I'd much rather have sex with the guy I competed against because, for some reason we went backwards and it was okay back then. It was okay then. They came up with this shit. It was cool. It was cool to have sex with your friend. And I'm not saying I want to. You're very beautiful, but,
I'm getting nervous over here.
Yeah, well, good thing there's a computer separating us because, wow.
I'm going to
Talking
your
about
house
it.
later. I don't know.
That's all right. I got to work. I don't like to tire
Thank
myself
God.
out before work.
Oh, I'm sorry if my mom
The
listens.
mustache is taking over, man. I can't control it.
So, let's see. Where were we? That got me all distracted. So these games were immensely popular.
Right. All agrees.
Thousands of fans would flock to these games to see this adrenaline-fueled spectacle. And think about it for a minute, because I stopped about this time and thought about it. Like today, watching chariot races probably wouldn't be that exciting to us. But back then, that was different.
Top
Like,
notch.
you're in a stadium with thousands of other people watching people go as fast as you've seen people move on a horse,
Yeah, I mean, for the time and location, probably the fastest any person's going to be moving at any, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like the speed, the danger,
Yeah.
the sounds.
The thrill,
It was
the
it was
erections.
exciting as fuck.
Yes.
And crashes were part of the entertainment. Because
Okay. Please,
Yeah.
someone argue with me that the American redneck has not always existed.
Well, unlike our races today, it was much more likely that someone would die in one of these wrecks because safety was not a thing. Yeah. Yeah, the
Okay.
wrecks were spectacular.
Fatal. They didn't have the Hans devices in the fucking chariots.
No. Or they wore leather helmets, but we'll get to that. So the chariot itself was also a technological marvel for the time. It was made of wood, metal, it had 2 wheels, light frames, and were steered.
Yeah, I bet I could take a few more pounds off it for you.
They'd steer it with bridles and reins on the horses. And charioteers not only had to master the high-speed turns, but also maintain balance while doing it, which I didn't even think about.
Yeah, me either, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And the horses were bred specifically for chariot racing, with traits like speed, stamina, and, overall temperament being critical to their selection.
Sleek and sexy.
That's a sexy horse you got there.
I can feel the heat back here, mister.
Once again, the American redneck.
Sorry, Dustin's mom.
So, it was such a popular competition, or event, rather, a competitive event. I didn't say that word right. We're going to move on. It was also held at other festivals of the time. Panhellenic festivals, to be exact, which means Greek. I didn't know. I would much rather just say Greek because Panhellenic is a son of a bitch word. That is, does not roll off the tongue because I'm an American redneck.
Yeah!
So, festivals such as the Pythian Games were held in Delphi, the Nemean Games, and
Like the lion.
Isthmia. There was another one that was known for chariot races as well. And some of them were held at the Olympic Hippodrome, which was basically a speedway. And chariots raced for 12 heart-pounding hog sucking laps. I don't know why that's so hard to say or why I wrote that. Oh. So this would come out.
Laps.
I don't know why I wrote that. I guess to pop myself, and it worked.
It popped me.
But those 12 laps would come out to 14,000 meters or 8.7 miles.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, going around and round and round for 8.7 miles, which is much less than I believe our races are today.
But in a way, is it not more impressive? Or are they just equally respective in their own rights, Impressive.
They are respective in their own rights, but also there was a lot more deaths in those races, so it's probably a little bit more intense.
God damn it.
It would be interesting if they had to switch horses out every 9 miles.
Like,
12
fuck,
laps,
this
bring that
horse
horse
is
in for
dead.
a
Shoot
change.
him. This horse
my
fucking
God.
broke his leg. Shoot him. Give me
Then
the
it got
replacement
dark.
horse.
Some dude pushing his chariot across the track to get a new horse.
God damn it. Don't mind me, folks. Watch the others, okay? You don't want to see this. Or maybe you do. You filthy animals.
And they're waiting for him to get hit. You know they are. But enough with fucking ancient Greece. Let's skip forward to fucking ancient Rome.
Yes.
Ancient Rome had the Circus Maximus. And I will put a picture on our socials of this thing because it is pretty impressive. This came out around 200 years after the founding of the Olympic Games, and the Circus Maximus was a massive stadium even by today's standards.
So it was the WCW of the fucking of the Olympics, huh? Greek
That's a
comes up with
wrestling
it.
reference for those that don't get it.
Yeah, sorry, that was a little niche, maybe. But come on, everybody watched wrestling as a kid, right?
Right. I imagine most of our viewers have at least heard of wrestling,
Yeah.
and the
The
older
dudes
ones may
wearing
remember
manties.
WCW.
No, I'm just kidding. Tanny
Men
refs.
without pants, men without pants wrestling for a belt.
Fucking manties and boots, baby. I love it.
Jesus, manties. So, to give you an idea of how big this thing is, it could fit over 150,000 people in it.
Oh, wow.
That's large,
That's
even by today's
crazy.
standards.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
big.
yeah, it's
Made of
huge.
stone, I'm reckoning.
We're gonna assume so because I didn't look that far into it.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, they love their stone.
I think it was because I will, like I said, I will put a picture of this thing up because I had to look it up when I heard of it. I'm like, that's insane for an ancient structure.
No doubt. We all know the
So,
Colosseum. You love the Colosseum, blah, blah, blah. But have you
oh,
ever heard of the Circus Maximus?
Colosseum, I hardly knew him.
Damn near killed him.
So there's something interesting that connects the Roman chariot races to sports rivalries of today. You ready for this?
Ready.
Fans were devoted to their favorite chariot factions. There was 4 of them. So it's like sports teams today, how we get, excited about them.
Okay.
You might not be able
Yeah,
to relate,
yeah.
but some of us do.
Well, no, but, well, you know.
The big 4 of the chariot race factions was red, which was Rasata,
Ooh.
white, Albata, blue, Venta, and green, Presnia. I
Big
probably butchered all of
Presnia
those.
fan over here.
Prazina maybe. I don't know.
Big Prasna fan over here.
In the 3rd century AD, a writer named Tertullian, what a funny name, I'm sure he got bullied.
Turd Tullian. Hey, what's up, Turd Tullian? Guys, it's not my name.
Look at him, he thinks he can write.
Go to hell!
But he wrote that the rivalry between the white team and the red team was the oldest, and that their supporters would liken the rivalry to the contrast between winter and summer, like white and red.
Okay,
Not
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and these factions were sponsored by very rich upper-class men and politicians.
Oh my god.
So it was basically the equivalent of like team owners today, except their
Yeah.
employees were slaves.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, aren't we not all slaves to the grind, brother?
And while no doubt slaves that performed well were rewarded, the glory and accolades went to the teams and not the charioteers.
Yeah,
So-
so I mean,
You get hyped over Green winning. You wouldn't get hyped over Taturian,
right.
the driver.
Like, what the fuck did he have to do with it? It's the color that did it.
Yeah.
Way to try to steal the fucking glory. Try to give it all
Well,
to
there
one
were-
man. I ought to smack you and decapitate you.
While there was exceptions to the rule, I'm sure, one of which we're going to go into detail on one person in particular, one driver later.
Okay.
But if you were a slave in ancient Rome who drove a chariot and you were decent, maybe good at best, like I said, fans wouldn't see you as the victor. It was about the team. It was so ingrained into the culture that graffiti from the time has even been uncovered by archaeologists. And some of them say things like victory to the red, the fortune of blue prevails. The greens can goggle on Apollo's cock. That last one wasn't real, but the rest were. And this team wasn't just the writer and the sponsors, or slave-owning pieces of shit, I should say. Archaeologists have also found mosaics depicting not only the jockeys or riders, but also grooms, which were basically horse maintenance people,
Oh, okay.
stable boys, saddlers, doctors, trainers, coaches, and messengers. I almost read that as massagers, which would have been interesting. And there, also in these depictions, horses were covered with blankets in their stalls, showing that I guess they got cold.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
why I put that there.
That's good that all the respective people got credit. A far cry from the Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezoses of today, who were built
Yeah.
on the backs of labor. Their names only carry weight because of what we, the worker, do for them. Anyway.
Once again, this segment's called Boo Boo's Bullshit. Love it. So the size of these teams, in theory, could rival training stables of today, and these factions would compete to procure the best of each station, especially the drivers and the horses. The rivalries were so intense that bribery, drugging opposing horses, hiring drivers from rival factions, and even fucking poisoning was commonplace.
Jesus fucking Christ.
They would murder over it. It was ridiculous.
That's crazy, dude. And I got a lot of fucking coin riding on this race. Right. I need you to take a dive.
And from this sport comes an unlikely figure. Ready for this?
God, I hope so. I'm laughing.
The richest athlete of all fucking time was a Roman charioteer.
Like, historically, still to this day?
Yes, by far.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And his name was Gaius Gigacock Diocles.
That is such a cool name.
Sorry, Gaius Apuleius Diocles.
Yeah, it's still a cool enough name.
I'm still not sure if it's pronounced Gaius or Gaius.
Yeah, location. Tomato.
Apuleius. Either way.
I think Apuleius probably translates to that first thing you said anyway. So it's
Gigacock? Probably.
Gigacock, yeah.
He was born in what is now Spain and was a charioteer whose career earnings came out to 35,863,129 sesterces, which is an ancient fucking coin I can't pronounce correctly.
What?
Now, by today's standards for an athlete, 35 million anything doesn't sound crazy.
I don't get out of bed for less than 40 mil.
Like, that's on par, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Professor Peter Struck of the University of Pennsylvania, who earned his AB at the University of Michigan and his MA in Divinity and PhD in Comparative Literature from the University of Chicago, is the chair of classical studies at said University of Pennsylvania. And my God, what a lot of fucking words to say he's a fucking genius.
Blah, blah, blah.
God. Anyway, he seems to know his shit. He wrote that drivers were drawn from the lowest orders of society. They affiliated with teams supported by large businesses that invested heavily in training and upkeep of horses and equipment. Their equipment consisted of leather helmets, shin guards, chest protectors, whips, and a curved knife.
Whips?
Whips and
for
knives.
The horses. Okay. It's got to be for the horses. I was thinking like, God damn, these guys are allowed to whip each other while they're driving by?
Well, that's actually where the knife came in.
And the leather. Okay.
The knife was for cutting loose from an entangled reins after a fall, and for cutting opponents that got too close.
Back up, motherfucker.
Yeah, so they would hack and slash at each other if you got too close during a race.
Man, I'm just trying to pass you, please.
Sport for the Romans was in most cases literally life or death. And our buddy Gaius is believed to have started racing at 18.
Okay.
The first team he was invited to join was the white team, and then he joined the green faction before he finally settled with the red.
I knew I was going with green for a reason. I'm a winner!
Well, he went with the red afterwards.
Fuck! I'm a loser.
The red is where he raced most of his career. He raced for 24 years.
Oh my God, man! For the time, I mean that's a long time.
Yeah, he was also illiterate and most likely a slave. So
okay, I'm hearing American redneck again.
So that 36 million sesterces I mentioned earlier, I'm sure I'm butchering that. From what historians can estimate, it's the equivalent of $15 billion today. Yeah. And they argue about like the range of what it could be worth ranges from 100 million to 15 billion. I'm going with 15 billion because that's what Peter said.
Yeah, gotta go with the bigger numbers. I mean, well, if there's choices.
Even still, 100,000 is nothing to scoff at. Or 100,000. 100 million is nothing to scoff at.
Right. Contextually speaking, for the time, that is crazy.
There was even a monument to his legacy erected in Rome in 146 AD.
He's like, they put us on the map.
They congratulated him on his retirement at the age of 42. declaring him, in their words, that said he was the champion of all charioteers.
It sounds like it. I mean, if you got that much money from... And
Yeah.
you race that long, I mean, not only do you not die, but you're somehow healthy and can afford to stay in it that long. You don't got to get off the horse, so to speak. No, I'm just playing. But you know what I mean. Like, that's just, I mean, that's impressive, really.
Yeah. The money he earned was enough to provide grain for the entire city of Rome for an entire year.
And he didn't do that, did he?
Well, here's the dark side of that.
Oh,
if
boy.
he was a slave, and I can't find anything saying he was or was not, but just because most of them were, he was probably a slave. He's probably saw very little of this money, even though his fame would have been undeniable. Like he was that exception to where he was a superstar. I mean, they erected a monument in his name after he retired. So
Right. The placard says, "Put Rome on the map," for God's sakes.
yeah, this guy is the Roman Empire. You could call him Roman Reigns. Get it? Reigns, a horse.
That's another wrestling reference, folks.
That's 2 today.
Boom! I smell wrestling in the future. Smells like sweat and
Oh, that could
awesome.
be such a deep dive, though. Both of us are wrestling fans. I don't know if everyone else out there is, but
Well, I mean, we got a 2-parter right now. Fuck.
that could be a 4-parter, honestly. The history of professional wrestling goes so far back. But anyway,
Big Abe Lincoln fan here.
I can't find a reliable source for when chariot races fell out of style. But, however, horse races began to come back in the medieval age.
What?
Yeah, so it fell out after the collapse of the Roman Empire, I guess, and then kind of made a comeback, when the knights were running around.
Right. Bleak, bleak, bleak. A bunch of boring. Life sucks. And then, boom! Horse races are back, baby!
Well, it kind of evolved, too. So it wasn't an immediate boom, which would be pretty cool. But
Right. Bang! Horse races coming Tuesday night. Get over here. Be there,
we always
be square.
we always kind of forget how things evolve. I guess because of our instant gratification culture, we want it to immediate now. So it started as a way for horse sellers to demonstrate the speed and agility of a particular horse.
Like
But
how
then
the
it
used
evolved.
car salesman offers to take you around the block.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Except less gas, unless the horse was really gassy.
Real horses with real power.
Wah.
When men were men and weren't afraid to look like women.
So it evolved into these extravagant tournaments that demonstrated instead chivalry and noble prowess.
Ooh.
And jousting was a part of these events, more so than the racing.
Sweet.
But in the 17th century in England, King Charles II popularized horse races by establishing the Newmarket Racecourse and issuing a Newmarket. We live near a town called that, and it's not the same one because this one's in fucking England.
I get so excited over little things.
This is the new Newmarket.
Newmarket.
He created a list of rules and regulations. Races were held at feasts and fairs, and this would also evolve into the Derby races that traditionally are still held today, like the Kentucky Derby and shit like that.
Yeah.
And in 1888, technology advanced enough to introduce the photo finish, which is famous with horse racing now.
Okay.
And I don't know
more.
why I included that. It really has nothing to do with horse racing other than its photography.
Well, I mean, it probably put an end to the days of like, hey, my horse crossed, I saw it. No, my horse crossed, I saw it. Oh, well, we have no way of verifying this. He said, she said, bullshit. You didn't think I'd do Limp Bizkit on the air, did you? But I did. I hate Limp Bizkit, by the way.
Now, we are here partially for your singing, but we're also here for the horses, right?
Yeah, of course. Limp Bizkit is the horse. You got
my
Limp
horse,
Bizkit?
Limp Bizkit. This here's Limp Bizkit.
He's got one broken leg.
Well, we're going to have to take him out back.
No.
Oh, if you're mad about it, why don't you go break stuff?
Yeah, Nancy. I did it
Break
for
stuff.
the nookie.
There you go, another reference. What the fuck's a nookie?
You could just lick my chocolate starfish, pal.
So the industrial age brought with it many changes in technology and society and, well, industry. It also gave us the bicycle. Yeah. And in 1869, the first long-distance bicycle race took place. This would eventually lead to the Tour de France. But automobile racing, the reason we started this topic in the first place, took place for the first time 1894 and was sponsored by a newspaper.
What?
And that's actually where we're going to end today.
No.
And when we come back, we're going to skip a little bit of the history because there's a lot going on, and we're
shallow and
probably mainly going to focus on the history of racing and car culture here in America. Nothing against Formula One or anything like that, but the notes for this episode are already way longer than any other subject we've done. But if there's interest on that kind of history, we can always, make another episode to cover Formula One and other types of races.
Right. It's really what you all want to hear, right? I mean,
yeah.
You all definitely are so kind of contributing and give us ideas and stuff. I mean, we really appreciate that. Right? We don't come up with the subjects.
Of course we appreciate it. No. Well, some of them we do.
Sarcasm, folks. Sarcasm. The comment section is seriously lacking. Good, bad, and different. Post your shit below. Love you. See you next time.
Next time when we come back, we will jump ahead to the 1920s and 30s, you silly broads.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday on the Everyday History Podcast.